This is Craig with Games with Authentic Battle Damage. We're going to be talking about a subject today that I'm absolutely excited about. I don't know why I get so excited about this, but it's something in the C# programming language that I've loved ever since the beginning, and that is operator overloading. So operator overloading is where you can take operators like plus, minus, multiply, equals, and you can make them mean something specific for your classes. So for example, let's just dive into this because you're gonna think this is so cool. I hope you do. All right. So the last thing we did is we made the model a singleton. And we did that because we needed to give the player class access to the model, and I didn't want to create a field on the player where we would have to assign that for the model. 'Cause what if it doesn't get assigned? This is a situation where if you do want to assign something to another class, it's good to create a factory. A factory is a design pattern that I only mentioned in the last video. But because then the factory will do all these things that you need it to do, like assigning. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make it simple. So we created a singleton. And I gave you plenty of warning in the last video about singletons and global data. Again, the big benefit of having these classes and, having, say, private variables on them is that you want to restrict access to variables to the class that need them, because this is going to streamline and simplify your program and reduce bugs. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do some operator overloading, and we're going to do it on the player class. So as I was explaining, operator overloading allows you to do something like this. I'm just going to create I just want to show you what it's going to look like. So say you got player P1, okay? And then you've got player P2. Obviously, this isn't valid code, but you can do something like this, where you can say bool draw condition equals P1 equals P2. So this is what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be overloading the equals operator for the player class, so that when we do this, it's going to return a condition as to whether or not it's a draw. So that is so cool, because we're basically using these operators in a way that makes sense to us. Now, you can get really crazy with this and do things that don't make any sense to people. Readability in your code is very important. So think deeply about what operators you want to use. In fact, we're going to be implementing something. So here's the draw condition, right? But what I want to do too is I want to have it so that we return the player that won by doing just a simple statement. So player 1 equals, so it could do P1 multiplied by P2. That's one way we could do it. We could do divided, like maybe this is like the fight. So I don't know. Well, we're going to use multiply, because, multiply doesn't make sense with these, but we're going to overload this so that when we do this, it will return to us the player that won. Isn't that freaking cool? So this will be replacing this code right here. So let's get to it. All right. First thing we're going to need to do is we can just go ahead and start creating the overload. So we'll do public static. Okay, let's do the bool first. Bool operator and then it'll pass in player, so P1, player P2. So when we do these, it will pass in our two people, and then we can then check to see whether or not they, if it's a draw. So the way we'll do that is bool draw equals P1 dot chosen weapon equals P2 dot chosen weapon. So if they both have rocks or papers or scissors, we know it's a draw, and then we can just return the draw if it is a draw. So let's call this is draw. Okay. Now, one thing about these operators is that when you implement certain operators, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build this. I'm going to go build all. You'll see it says requires a matching not equals. So we'll do public static bool operator does not equal player P1, player P2, and then we'll do bool is draw equals P1 dot chosen weapon does not equal P2 dot chosen weapon. Return is draw. Okay. All right, and then let's go ahead and I'm going to do Command B to build. And now you see we've got two warnings. The warning is up here. It says player defines operator equal equals or operator not equals, but does not override object.equals. Now, object.equals is another way of seeing if two objects are equal. So not a problem. We'll just implement this. Bool override equals there. Now what this does is this base dot equals is going to actually see whether or not this is the same object. So for example, let's say we have player P1 equals new player, right? And we create a player temp and we have it equal P1. And now these are the exact same objects because this reference is now in here. So if we do P1 dot equals temp, it's going to return true. And this is what we want. So if we want to see whether or not we have the same object, we can keep the equals like that. We don't have to make it a part of our rock, paper, scissors. Okay. All right. Now there should be one more. Yeah, get hash code. So we just have to implement get hash code as well. Public override get hash code. Now let me explain what this is. We haven't talked about hashes, but hashes are a concept in programming where you take data and then you run it through what's called a hash algorithm. MD5 is a hash algorithm. I'll let you guys maybe look that up and see what that is. But what that does is it creates a string that represents the data of that object. And it's used a lot in cryptology because you might have even seen them where you might get an email and they'll say something like, has this email been tampered with? The way you can check is you can actually do a hash on the email itself, and it'll give you a unique string that represents that email. And if it is different from the hash that they have in the email, you know that the email's been tampered with. So just a very quick explanation about what hashing is and what that exactly means. It creates, when you think hash, think it's a unique representation of that object. you know, so it's going to be a string that's going to look like literally a bunch of numbers, you know. So anyway, just wanted to give you that quick explanation. All right, so I think that should take care of our warnings and errors. All right, so this is the equal operator. So now we've got the draw done. So what we can do then is for this draw condition, now we can do if model dot, RPS model dot instance dot get player and RPS model dot instance dot live player equals, I'm just going to copy this, excuse me, computer player. Right, this should be a draw condition now. So let's go ahead and run this and see how it works. Let's see if we can get a draw. There, we got a draw. So it looks like it's working. So what's happening now is we're comparing the instances of these players. And let me write this just to make it, try and make it easier to understand here, because this, I mean, I'm just writing a lot of code, okay? So player one equals there. And then player 2 equals there. So now let's write this so that it looks a little bit cleaner. Player 1 equals player 2 there. And then let's stop this. Let's compile this, make sure that we don't have any errors. Oh, I just forgot a semicolon at the end here. You know, this is a really good habit to get into. If you get an error where they're like unexpected symbol if, and you're like, what? I use ifs all the time. What the heck is your problem, buddy? First thing I always do is I go up to the next line and check to see if I have a syntax error. And sure enough, I do. It's a good habit to get into. Look up at the next line to see if something looks off. So, okay. Let's run this and let's try and get a draw. Right away, got a draw. Whoops. That was way too many characters. All right. Great. So now we have overloaded the equals, not equals. So now let's overload static. Now we're going to overload the multiplication, and it's going to return our player that won. Multiply player P1 player P2. Okay. And now the work that we did in the last video of getting the model to be on the outside, we're now going to be able to use its win table to see if we won. So what we'll do here is, okay, if RPS model dot instance dot win table result P P1 dot chosen weapon P2 dot chosen weapon equals a RPS model dot win state dot win return P1, Now, the only other state that we're going to get here is a loss, so we can just do a simple else return P2. All right, let's compile it, see if we get any errors. Nope, no errors. And then here, what we can do is we're going to have an else condition, and player winner equals player 1 times player 2. And then if winner, let's see here, if winner dot if winner dot name dot equals RPS model dot instance dot live player, then we can do view dot display win, and then we can do RPS model dot instance dot get player, RPS model dot instance dot live player, and then dot scored. There, we increase the score. Else if, and we can pretty much just copy this right here. If it's the computer player, we're going to display a loss. All right. RPS. Okay, so this is looking funky. Copying and pasting, messing things up. Okay, unexpected. Expecting while. All right, so this is telling me that our symbols are off. And oh yes, they are. Right there. You guys want to learn a cool method for counting brackets? If say you have like a really complicated piece of code and you need to see if you have an extra bracket, what you can do is for every left bracket you add one, and then every right bracket you subtract one, and so you should come up with 0. So let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So anyway, it's a good trick if you're like reading code that doesn't like tell you about your matching brackets or anything. Give it a try. Okay, let's compile this. Let's run it. All right, I'm gonna pick rock. I win. So you can see here. So our win condition is working. Our overloaded operators are working. Now, I know this doesn't look. I mean, before the way that it looked, it was like kind of all over the place. And we were using these long, we simplified it here by pulling out our 2 players and then just testing to see what the result is. But overloaded operators are really, really cool in my opinion. And I wanted to add them to the project just to show you how they worked. So that is overloaded operators. Great. If if you like these videos, please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and if you like them, go ahead and hit the like button. Um, so yeah, so thank you so much for watching.